Hello. This podcast is brought to you by the sleepiest person that is currently talking and recording and is the reason that we are a day late because she slept almost, uh, it
I
was
just,
pretty close to 20 hours. Hey, what's up?
you
I'm
hear
Raven.
that? That's a clap. That's a clap. My name's Mark, and I wasn't here last week, but that is a clap for my co-host Raven, who recorded an episode by herself last week and absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Yay.
It was such a great episode that usually while I'm cutting these things up, I don't usually listen. I'm just like, yep, point, point, boop, 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 boop. Listen to the whole thing. It was ASMR for my brain. It was great. I enjoyed it. Raven, you knocked it out of the park. Thank you.
Aw, thanks, man. Tried my best. I was like, man, what am I going to do here? I don't know. I'm just going to wing it. We're going to have fun with it.
Yeah, you even did the things that made you happy. That was great. That made my heart sing a little bit.
Of course. That was for you, my man.
I know, and I'm so happy you did it.
But that show was just so cute. Oh my gosh, Mark.
It was visual ASMR, wasn't it?
It was. It gave me that like exact little moment of just like pure bliss just to watch it. Whew. How you been doing? How was
Oh,
your vacation and workcation,
dude,
all that jazz?
I have been going hard in the paint for the last 10 days. Um, it was busy. We did Orlando. Um, we did Orlando. We did some things there. I'll talk about one of them a little bit later on. And then we traveled home on Sunday, Sunday. And then almost 12 hours after I got home, I had to wake up to go catch a flight so I could go to Tucson for the week. And Tucson was very interesting because it was my first time going out west. Well, the Southwest. Let me point that out. I've been to California and Washington before, but to be in the Southwest, I learned that they picked a color scheme and painted everything in that color scheme. If you Google the color desert beige, that's the color that 90% of everything in Tucson, Arizona was. The trees,
Oh,
the hills, the dirt, the roofs, the buildings, everything. The only thing that wasn't that color was cars and people. It was wild. Uh,
interesting.
but the food was pretty good. I had some
Hey.
really good Mexican food and got
Ooh.
genuinely upset with some people when they were like, "We're gonna go to a Mexican place," and I was like, "Yeah, we are, buddy." And then I get there and it just looks like every standard Tex-Mex place that's within like, a 20-mile
Yeah.
radius of my house, and I was like, "What is this?" You know.
Dang.
And we passed by all of these dumpy Mexican food trucks as we were going there, and I'm like, "Oh man, these food's gonna be so good." So, yeah, that evening I went to what I thought was a Mexican food truck, but it turned out to be a different Mexican food truck, along with some others that were just in a vacant lot next to this Dollar General. And I'm like, either I'm going to get food poisoning or have a really good meal. And I kind of had a really. It wasn't as good as I was expecting. It was still
Man.
good, but I didn't get food poisoning, so I chalk it up as a win. So,
Hey. That's all you can ask for sometimes.
so yeah, and
Nice.
I actually got to watch some movies on the plane that I had kind of been wanting to see, and I was like, well, no better time than the present. Uh, they were American Fiction, which nominated for an Oscar for Best Writing, stars the guy that I can't remember his name. We'll have to break it down a little bit more later on. We might watch it for the show because it was very interesting. It was a very fun movie. Um, Real kind of good social commentary. I see why it was nominated for an Oscar because it kind of had like that Oscar kind of baity feel to it, but not in kind of like a, you know, oh, we're just gonna cry about everything. It was just a
Hmm.
good, well acted movie. Um, and I got to see this one movie that I've been wanting to see for years called Upgrade, about some dude who gets like cybernetic implants and then can like do kung fu. Um, it's
Whoa.
kind of, I don't know. That's like a really base way to say it, but he gets like cybernetic upgrades and then can do stuff, and it talks to him in his brain, and that was a really fun movie. Really gory too, as I'm watching that on a plane next to
Ooh,
people.
nice.
So, uh, Yeah, awesome. So, what about you, man? How was your week, man?
Uh, just doing the same old, same old. We redid Kavik's tail this week, so he got a nice, pretty groom. And then right afterwards, we went and took the boys to go get a professional photo shoot.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited for whenever those photos come back. I'm probably gonna sob at how cute they are. Just be like, look, and Chris is gonna be like, yeah, they look real good. He's gonna give me like the most basic answer while I'm over there just like, my children, my boys. But we haven't really done much in the past few weeks that I can think of. I don't even know what I've been doing, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I,
Yeah. Just,
I'm
just
just
been
like everyone else.
it's all just been kind of running together.
Yeah, dude, for real. My brain just goes, you did something. And then that's it. Especially after all of my sleep from yesterday. Dude, you know what? After you text me, I literally went to bed like maybe 30 minutes later. I was like, man, I'm not going to sleep at all tonight, even though I was still yawning. So I was like, I'm going to take a Tylenol PM and one of my melatonins because the melatonin helps me to fall asleep. And normally I'm really bad about staying asleep. I wake up like at least 10 times per night, and it's just because of literally anything. Last night, I woke up once and it was just to move a pillow, fell right back asleep, and then proceeded to hit like off on all of my alarms this morning until it was like 10 minutes before my last one that's like, hey, you better get up. And so I was like, oh man, I was like sleep drunk. It was great.
That sounds fantastic.
It was literally like the most amazing sleep I've had in so long. Oh my goodness. With the glasses, my man.
Oh yeah, you like
I'm
the
looking at I'm looking at this photo where Mark has beard and mustache. And today is a very special little day for a special little lady.
Yes.
How old did she turn today?
10.
Double digits.
Yep.
Ooh.
Big day. Big day.
And
We all
so
went and ate
you
dinner.
said you would shave it.
So the story is I guess it was 8 weeks ago, something like that, maybe even longer. A couple months ago, we said, hey, let's grow out my beard until your birthday, and then on your birthday we can shave it off, because I've never grown a beard. I'm 44 years on this planet and have never grown a beard. Because I was in the military and we obviously can't do that. And then when I got out, I tried to grow it out a couple times and it gets so far and I'd be like, no, I'm done with this. Let me shave it. So this time I was like, no, we'll just grow it out until your birthday. So we got to growing it out, and I guess I'll post pictures of it on the on my Twitter. So follow me on Twitter at Turtles Do It. But so yeah, and it kind of got to a point, like I bought some clippers this past weekend because I had to trim it up because I was straight looking homeless. And Alice was just beside herself. She's, I don't want you to shave it, blah, 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 blah. But nope, we went in there and I'd come out after like each stage. I had a little goatee and I'd come back out and be like, what do y'all think of this? And, and then when I came out clean shaven, Alice was like, geez, you look so much different. So, which I do, fair enough. But at the same time, you cannot tell me that picture of me with the mustache that I do not look like my father.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It looks so funny to look at because I'm just like, I see the future, man.
Yeah, I know.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what today has consisted of. It's been very eventful. So I'm ready to walk in tomorrow and get all the gasp and everything from work. But now I guess we're going to grow it back out for Alice. I don't think we're going to go all the way to Alice's birthday, but we're we're for sure gonna grow it back out. So plus I did kind of
Nice.
want to, I don't know, man, like the gray beard really made me feel old. I was like, geez, man, like
Yeah.
I look old, like, but I also don't want to do the just for men because it'd be weird to have like a solid black beard, where it
I
just goes
think they
up into
made
the gray
some that
hair.
it's like it can like kind of, I don't know how it works. I remember seeing at one point that was like you can make it look natural but still a little more dark. I don't know.
I don't know.
Although now that people have seen the white in there, if you go in with some dark, they're gonna be like, "Hey, I remember a few weeks ago when that little spot was all white.
Yeah,
What are we looking at here?"
and
Or
the funny thing is that
w-
I don't really care. So I was really I think maybe next time I'll just be like, hey girls, do you want to like dye it?
that's what I was about to say. You can dye it some fun colors.
Right. Like let's just go blue and see what happens. So,
Heck yeah.
but it's gonna
We
have to
could
be.
color coordinate.
Oh yeah. So, all right.
Nice.
Were you ready? You ready to talk about this week's movie?
I Scooby-Dooby-Doo am.
Oh, dang.
That was dumb.
You know what? I'll give you a B. I'll give you a B plus. Yeah, I thought
Aw,
I
thanks.
thought you were uh yeah, so close, so close to that A. Yeah, B plus, B plus. Yeah. So we watched Scooby Doo this week because we had to do something to cleanse our palates from 11 Fast and Furious movies, and Raven already got
Man.
a head start by watching Pokemon. So that I'm sure that was probably the absolute best palate cleanser.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was so well needed, well deserved.
You know. So
Yeah.
this surely wasn't your first time watching
Oh,
this movie?
God, no.
Oh, thank
Dude,
goodness.
this was like one of my favorites. So this one came out 2002
Hmm.
because I was literally like, which Scooby-Doo is it? Because I couldn't remember which one was the first one, if it was Spooky Island or the other one that's like, I can't remember. Like I can remember what Scooby-Doo 2, the live action one, was about, but like, what's it called? Monsters Unleashed. I couldn't
Yep.
remember which one was which, and so I was like, I don't care. Either way, I'm gonna have a great time. I love these movies. Well, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You know what? I guess I'm kind of keeping with tradition right now. You go ahead and go first.
Oh,
What did you think
well,
of Scooby Doo?
uh, this is absolutely like a classic that I watched so many times. I'm pretty sure at the time that this movie came out, my brother was probably like one, and I was still very much in my Scooby-Doo phase. I had some decked out Scooby-Doo stuff growing up as a kid. It was like my favorite thing to watch, the cartoons, the movies, whatever. I would watch it all. I had all the like dolls, bed sheets, a whole bunch of stuff. So this was great. I love when I get back into my Scooby-Doo phase every now and then. But watching this, I was like, man, there's some good little jokes in here that I obviously missed. But um, it's just cute. It's fun. It's a good time. And even though Scooby looks a little weird, I love how big his eyes are and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
it's just the little things that you're like, all right, I love this movie. What about you? What are your thoughts on this movie?
I think that this movie is the perfect, the absolute perfect kind of representation of a Scooby Doo cartoon that blends everything from like the fandom of all like the internet memes leading up to this, of like all the jokes of how the team splits up and where's my glasses, and the pothead references where it's like if you're of a certain age you know it, but if you're under a certain age you clearly don't get it, and it's still
Mm-hmm.
funny for different reasons. um but just the way that they literally brought all the cartoon aspects to life with just like I would have gotten away with it, and that opening scene is live action / cartoon Scooby-Doo perfection. And the rest of the movie, for the most part, is just great. And we can go ahead and get into it for real. First off, Matthew Lillard, Nerd for No Reason,
Love my man.
favorite. He absolutely knocked it out of the park in this. And on his IMDb, 90% of his roles since this movie is him doing Shaggy. He did such a good job doing Shaggy that they were just like, yeah, cool, we'll keep you around. And he loves to do it, which is so great.
I mean, can you blame him? Like,
No.
absolutely wonderful at it. Isn't Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar, aren't they married?
Yes, this was actually the
That's what
movie
I
that
thought.
they met on. I think it was this one.
I'm pretty sure it was, but yeah, no. When I like found that out in like, middle school, high school, however old I was just like, oh my God, that is so pure.
Oh, no, I think they met on I Know What You Did Last Summer. Either way,
Ooh, nice.
it was all around like the same time. So, I say that, damn, 1997 was I Know What You Did Last Summer? Well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say that they fell in love on Scooby-Doo because to me that makes it better.
That makes it better that they were looking at someone pretending to be a giant walking bipedal dog.
Yes. And you kind of brought this up about the effects kind of looking a little wonky. They do look a little wonky, but at the same time, I'm not upset by it.
Right?
Like, it kind of fits.
I know. I love it so much.
Like,
honestly,
it's weird because like Scooby and Scrappy look the way they do, but I also feel like there's some other CG in there, like besides the monsters, obviously. But I feel like there's some other CG in there that we just don't notice. Because surely, like, there's some stuff in there where like it can't be practical effects, even though they did a ton of practical effects in this movie, and I am not upset by it at all.
Fair. You know what I love about that, like, opening scene where it's like classic Daphne being caught, you got Velma with her little plan, Fred in his classic trap, then you got Scooby and Shaggy just goofing around as usual. I love that Shaggy's just like good at skateboarding. Like a classic pothead would just be like, yo, I know how to do all this. Because I feel like maybe in the shows he would probably be a little trash, but just like him doing it kind of blind was just like so fun to watch. So I'm like, man, he would be good at this. Like, I feel like I would expect nothing else, especially for Matthew Lillard to be doing it. It's even more fun.
You know, they that opening scene too also seemed like it was very much a kind of love letter and a kind of set the tone for the rest of the movie, because if you watch the old cartoons, like, because I grew up watching the old cartoons from the 60s, that kind of shot of Shaggy and Scooby in a barrel is almost ripped directly from the opening credits of the cartoon. And then, they got the flying ghost, and all of that stuff was just so much cartoon Scooby-Doo brought to real life. And it was fantastic. Now, I have to say this before we go any further. This is the movie that I fell in love with Linda Cardellini, because they tried everything in their power to make Linda Cardellini look ugly. I think.
And she's so cute.
And she is absolutely adorable in this movie. And it was wild because I remember watching this in 2002 going, why is Velma hot? Am I wrong? Is this like one of those things where I'm going to be by myself and Velma is just good looking? Who is this actress? And I looked her up and was like, oh, no, this actress is very good looking. And then they have that scene. I don't know. We'll get to it. We'll get to it later because I remember a completely different scene where Velma, when she gets possessed and then like she gets her soul back and all this, and she's wearing like more kind of, I don't know, revealing clothes. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, like I was really confused. So, and I think ever since then I it's weird to say this, but it seems like they've tried to make Velma more sexy since this iteration.
Well, in the Scooby-Doo 2, the like live action one, where she like falls in love with Seth Green,
That's right.
and then at one point she has that like hot arrow where she's like in the super tight.
Yeah, that red leather outfit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. And Daphne's just like, you just gotta work it. And she's like, sure.
That's right.
So yeah,
I forgot
they
all
definitely
about
went
that.
for that sex appeal there.
Yeah, they did. I also think this is a very kind of interesting tidbit nowadays based upon, where this guy's at, that this was one of the first movies written by James Gunn. And for like a major studio that wasn't a Troma film. I don't know. Do you know what Troma Studios is?
I do not.
Okay, these are the guys responsible for movies like The Toxic Avenger, and that's probably the most famous one. This kind of real gory, kind of like super independent studio.
Gotcha.
And over the years, they have kind of been a gateway for people to work, quote unquote, in the bigger Hollywood machine. And James Gunn is a product of Troma Studios. And he wrote actually 3 movies that I've seen before that I did not know were actual James Gunn movies. Let me pull this up real quick so I can give the man his due. So Tromeo and Juliet, and Terror Firmer. So both of those movies I had seen before that I remember watching early 2000s, like right before this movie came out, because a buddy of mine that I worked with at the time was like, you have to see these movies. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll check them out. And they were just these wild movies. It's hard to even describe what these movies are without like you seeing them.
Yeah.
So, but now that I know that it was like written by James Gunn, I'm like, okay, yeah, that tracks. So, or he was one of the writers on it. Let me say that.
Gotcha.
So,
how you feel about Grandma Scooby?
Man. So
first of all, that whole plane scene was just wild in itself.
As someone who just got off of an airplane, I kept thinking the whole time, like, this is the plane I wish I would have ever been on. I've never been on a plane like that. I wish I would have been. But no, the plane scene was, or Grandma Scooby, I was literally sitting there laughing out loud by myself because I thought this was just dumb and hilarious. It's really kind of great watching a movie where it doesn't take itself too seriously and everyone knows that it's not really serious.
Yeah.
But they're all playing it straight, like they're playing it like the character should be played, and it's so fun.
Yeah. I love that Shaggy's like, they don't allow big dogs on the plane. It's just like, okay, so what are we going to do here?
I literally wrote in my notes because I took terrible notes on this movie because I was just so wrapped up watching the movie.
Same.
I wrote, just finished the airport scene. Damn it, this movie is perfect. I'm serious. Up to this point, I have no beefs. We didn't even talk about the pot joke that they did post opening credits.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's like 2 years later, and they do the implication of Shaggy and Scooby in the
In the Mystery
in the
Machine,
mystery machine.
smoking out,
Yep.
when really it's just them making hamburgers.
Yep.
Or not even hamburgers. What was it?
Um.
Eggplant burgers.
Yeah. Eggplant burgers.
Which is also so wild. Like, eggplant burgers?
Hey man.
I'm just saying, based on them solely, because they have always been like, I don't know, you've always seen them as very, like, carnivorous type. Like, we gotta have the meats
Yeah.
with the, like, quadruple decker sandwich and, all that shit. Love it.
What'd you think of? Oh, and then when we get on the plane, back to the airplane scene, we see a young Isla Fisher, hot dog. It's weird to see where she ended up because now we're talking Oscar nominee Isla
Yeah.
Fisher. And of course her name is Mary Jane.
That's like my favorite name ever. You're just like, yeah, there we go. God, I love Shaggy.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was just gonna say, when we get to the actual, like, spooky island, man, that island looks so early 2000s.
It does?
Just like, it gives you that exact, like, essence of, like, what it was like to just, like, picture a cool, like, theme park in that era. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, I want Spooky Island to be absolutely real.
I would love to go so bad.
It looks like a absolute party. It looked awesome.
Yeah.
I loved Melvin Dew. That I remembered that was in there. Better yet, I don't want to say I necessarily forgot it was there, but when they did the phone gag of, I have a phone call for Dew, and the guy stood up and he goes, Melvin Dew?
Melvin
I
Dew?
belly laughed like a buffoon. I was just like, ha ha ha, Melvin Dew, I love him. Yeah, great.
So dumb, but so good.
Right, absolutely dumb. Oh. I loved the scene where after the phone call, he's like, oh, I got hamburgers. And he goes to find the hamburgers, and these stupid, dumb, cartoon-looking signs are like, burgers this way, or hamburgers this way with the dumb arrow. Again, so dumb and cartoonish. And it just made me laugh.
And he's just like,
this
yeah.
is the greatest thing.
I just love that he, like, sticks his face in. There's absolutely nothing in there. He's a dog. He absolutely would have smelled burgers.
Yeah.
And it's just like a very classic Scooby thing to just be like, whoa, maybe. Who knows? And then you got those goofy ass monsters. Those things were so goofy looking.
They were. It was like a cross between Gremlins, like Gremlin 2 Gremlins, and
yes,
something else. I'm not real sure, but this. I don't know.
It reminds. There's like this TV show that was from, like, I think the 90s, and it was like these little monster looking things, and I can't even remember what it is. But if I showed it to you, you'd be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I can't think of what it's called right now. And now it's going to be in my brain forever.
Oh yeah.
Until I think of it. Oh well. The gang, like, doing their own little split up searches was interesting. I like that Velma was just next to this one dude, and then this dude becomes, like, somehow a part of things. And then he's like, whoa, Velma. And she's like, whoa, you. And I don't think we ever got his name.
Oh, now I looked this up. Okay.
Okay.
This dude's name credited Velma's friend.
Damn.
Yeah.
No respect.
Which was so, because that whole scene was super weird right before we go to the flashback where she's looking at something and he shows up and he's like, hey, what's up? And she's like, nothing. What's up with you? And I wrote specifically, you're going to love this. I wrote this specifically in my notes. Velma got that Riz. That guy is just credited as Velma's friend. And Velma, like, the dude brings the drink and she's like, don't mind if I diddly do, and just starts drinking. And then we come back from
and then she was like, whoa.
Right, we come back from the flashback and she's like, you're so funny.
Sweetie, I think you just got spiked, my little lady. And she was just gonna let it happen. Goodness.
My only beef with this movie, and it kind of, it's like there's a part of this movie that's kind of like it's hard to differentiate between what's theater of the island, like who's a character on the island doing a bit part, versus who's actually nefarious. Does that make sense? Because they have all these characters on this island doing things, like the voodoo guy. And apparently this guy on this island that is an amusement park where you go and do spooky things, he's not a character. He's not just like Bob, who's like, no, my name's Bob, I just do this to, for a thing. I'm really a voodoo guy who lives on the island. And the bad henchman guy with the tattoos on his bald head, he's really a bad guy, but he works on Voodoo Island. It's not just a character. When like that's really, and there's this relic artifact that's just sitting in the middle of an amusement ride. That's like kind of the weird part where I'm like, I don't know. It's this, surely this is not Bob the voodoo guy who's just like, yeah, I do this, I get a paycheck. Oh, that's the only part of this movie where you're trying to differentiate between if this is a character that is hired by the island to play a role, or is he really that person who you think he is. And
gotcha.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's fair. Because, I mean, honestly, like, Daphne was like, yo, he could be a suspect. He tried to get me into that, like, spooky little castle thing that's actually just a ride.
Right.
And for some reason, the ride shut down, and there's, like, a weird program training video thing going on in this one building,
right,
where also the, like, little important
and they have booby traps in it, like, that will actually kill you?
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Gotta keep your relics safe. That's how you do it.
But I do the scene that Shaggy and Scooby have in that little training classroom, the fart scene.
Oh my god.
Classic. Absolutely no notes. None. peak comedy. I almost want to show this to the girls because they love fart humor, and I genuinely think this would make this their absolute favorite movie.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, Chris and I were watching it, and yeah, it really got to Chris, the good old fart scene, and I was just like, man, you would.
It's such a good, God dang it, this movie is so much fun. I want all my movies to be this much fun. What'd you think of Scrappy? This whole Scrappy scene to me is just unhinged. This is clearly a fever dream of James Gunn, and they were just like, hey, we got to shoot it. We ain't got time for rewrites.
I know. Honestly, this whole, like, little scene is just so bizarre and bonkers, but it's so funny. Because it's just like, oh, we're having a great time. All of these guys are this and this. And then there was Scrappy.
Yeah.
Like,
and Scrappy's just
no love for Scrappy.
And Scrappy's just going to piss on people.
Right.
What?
Scrappy's not even a puppy. He has a gland disorder. Like,
yes.
What? Also, when he says puppy power. For the longest time as a child, my favorite thing to say was puppy shower. So I would go around being like, puppy shower. And my aunt always thought it was the cutest thing. And so now sometimes if we're at like one of the bathing tubs in one of the vans, she'll be like, do the thing. And I'm just like, all right, until I say it.
I want nothing more than to find a video of you running around screaming puppy shower. I think
Dude,
that would be so fun.
I would have been like 5. 5? Yeah, 5 when this movie came out. So honestly, it makes sense. So
Oh man. Let's see. So
dude,
go ahead.
go for it. Nope.
Well, after the flashback scene, this is when everyone gets possessed, and there's a blank spot in my notes.
Oh, it's when the monsters start attacking everything.
Oh, that's right.
And so they start grabbing, Fred and drunk Velma, and it's all crazy and stuff, and you got some good music going. The music in this movie,
Whoop whoop.
bangers. Absolute bangers all the way through.
Yep.
I had a good time with it.
We got a cameo from Sugar Ray. If nothing screams 2002 more than Sugar Ray. Oh, they showed up. And I was like, oh boy, yeah, that was a style choice. That was absolutely in style. That is not wearing an ascot for a movie type of style. That is what they look like. Frosted tips.
Yeah, Chris was like, this looks so familiar. And I was like, yeah, it was just some band back then. So he was like, all right, so there you go, Chris. I don't know.
So now
Good
this
times.
is the part of the movie where I remember there being a longer scene of when Fred and Velma were quote unquote cool, and I remember Velma having that outfit in that scene because I watched this part of the movie like 3 times, remembering that scene where they interact with Velma. And she's like, yo, what up? She's talking cool. She's not talking like Velma. She's wearing her hot clothes. And that was not in the cut that we saw. Or at least the cut that I saw. I don't know if you caught it on a different streaming service. But it was not on the cut that I had. And I was like, wait a second. We don't ever see Velma as being possessed. Shaggy just finds her head in the pool and lets her go. And then she goes and finds herself.
No, I think mine had it. And well, now I'm like questioning myself on if I actually saw that.
Because I remember that scene specifically. And I was like, wait a second, where did that happen? And then she like gets, she gets normal again. And then she goes finds Daphne. And she's still in her hot clothes. I was like, wait a second, there's a different scene here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
No, I don't know. I feel like I have a mystery to solve.
The missing Velma scenes.
Right. So.
It's okay. You got cool Fred. What up, dog? And,
yeah.
Dog?
Man,
he was...
Listen, Freddie Prinze Jr., I love him. I never thought he was like cool per se, but this man, I feel like he is the perfect embodiment of Fred. And then what would Fred act like if he was cool? That's exactly what Fred would act like if he was cool. Yo, what up? Yo, what up, Dizog? Like, he would absolutely try to talk that way.
Yeah, he would try and do like all the hip slang of the day.
Yeah.
Man, they were going hard on like some of that slang too. I was just like, what is this stuff? Y'all are pushing it.
Well, when we get to the scene where all the different souls are bouncing around and they are doing the lip sync with a different voice. Immaculate. These guys did the absolute best lip sync I have ever seen in a movie, period.
It was pretty good.
It was,
Yeah.
it was great.
It was so fun to watch. I just like the way that they're all like, oh. Or like when Fred gets into like Daphne's body and was like, oh, what's up?
Yeah.
What we got going on down here? Just like, love that for you.
And
You little perv.
And Sarah Michelle Gellar played it so good. It was so, dang it. It was acted great. It was lip synced perfect. That was such a good scene. Everyone in that, like all four of them, if I could commend them on anything in their entire career, it would be this scene.
This is what you are known for.
Right.
Go forth and prosper.
What do you mean scream? You mean the lip sync scheme? You know what? Words hard. Words hard. You know what I'm trying to say.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
Keep going. just keep powering through until you.
No, I'm done bailing out.
Oh.
So after that, we get to the cave scene. We're wrapping up the movie. We're trying to figure this out. This cave scene where we finally, we figure out that Rowan Atkinson is really Scrappy-Doo, and they rip his face off, and it's a robot, and Scrappy pops out and does this, like, very unsettling transformation.
Man.
Dude.
When you were saying that he, like, or earlier about the, like, gremlins, like, when he first, like,
Yes.
starts doing the whole thing, I was like, oh, man, it's like getting a gremlin wet. But, like, a little more unhinged. It was weird to watch.
Like, I genuinely think if I would have been 5 years old and seen that, I think I would have nightmares.
Hey, here I am. What's up? I'm just saying, I've been watching spooky stuff since I can remember. What's up? Some of us are built different. Let me just tell you that disco spiky skull thing that they were using, that thing lives in my head rent free. I think about that all the time. And I want one. It's not fair. I should be able to have one just hanging around in my apartment.
Well, you know Christmas is right around the corner.
Hey, man. As big as that one is, that's all I need.
Okay. Noted.
Can you imagine? Jeez, how big that thing would be. Ooh. But yeah, that whole like little end part where it's just like, we're gonna suck Scooby's, not soul, what is it, protoplasm?
Yeah.
Also, I love that, like, at one point Shaggy was just like, sorry, I'm just looking for my friends, and throws Homeboy back in. Like, in that, like, scene that that cracked me up. That I was just like, you for real? You could have just let all these things out. Let's be real. He could have just tipped it, or just, like, scooped a bunch out to be like, hey, come on, let's be real, guys. But, that's a good friend right there.
I love that everyone kind of got their little moment to shine. I love that Daphne got to do her non-damsel in distress thing. Yeah, black belt karate on the luchador. That was a fun little scene. I love that Velma got to do her thing at the end. Shaggy and Scooby. I don't know. They weren't buffoons. They were buffoons, but they weren't useless. There we go. Yeah. And Fred learned a valuable lesson about life and love, which I guess is his arc. It was it was just fun. It was great. Another kind of beef that I have was when quote unquote Velma's friend showed back up at the end and gave her a hug, and they're kind of having like this cool flirty moment. I was like, this doesn't feel earned. This feels weird.
Who are you?
Right. Velma's friend.
Hey, what's up? I'm the
Hello, I
friend.
am Velma's friend.
Oh, friend zone so hard. So bad. And then it's fades to black.
Fades to black, man. Outcast comes on
Actually,
in the land of a million frontiers.
actually, we have that fun little scene of them just eating peppers because they're just like, let's eat the hottest thing possible, and I love it.
I think this was just a great acting reel for Matthew Lillard because he is acting against absolutely nothing. Um,
Yeah.
if this is going to be one of those things where it's like, how good an actor is Matthew Lillard? Well, sir, let me show you this scene because he's literally acting against nothing. Um, and you believe that this is all happening. So there.
You know the thing where it's like people are like, oh, if aliens ever come and they're like, take us to your leader, I would take him to that guy. I should be like, here you go. This is him. And they'd be like, whoa, he's so cool. And we'd be like, yeah, that's why we keep him here. You can't have him. Anyways, that's all I had to say about that. Important things we're spouting here.
Oh man. Well, this was fun. This was an absolute great departure from there was no Fast and no Furious and no Vin Diesel and
God.
um yeah. But now I want to see Matthew Lillard in Camaro driving off of an airplane going Scooby-Doo, where are you? Uh,
Man, that could be fun.
I
Ooh.
I think
Ooh.
if Matthew Lillard ever decided to play a live action Shaggy again, I think the way meme culture has surrounded Shaggy, I think it would be legitimately insane. I think that he would just be like, "Oh man, what are you doing? Oh, you challenge me?" Because I mean, the internet has done bumped Shaggy up into like Goku god tier status. Um,
As he deserves.
yeah, I think it would be fun to put him back in the green shirt again and let him do something, if not for just a little 5-10 minute short film. I think it would be great.
Man. And we would eat it up
Oh yeah,
100%.
I would absolutely be that fool to be like, oh yeah, just give him what he wants. They'll eat anything. Yes, I would. Yep, 100%.
No crumbs left.
Four plus four. Um. All right, you got anything else to say about Scooby Doo?
No.
Okay, good. uh,
Man, the 4 plus floor just gets me.
man,
You say it.
my kids, man. I learned all this shit from my kids. They come
Uh,
up with something. Dang it, I didn't even tell the joke today. I got told this great joke. Why do girls travel in groups of 3, 5, and 7?
3, 5, and 7. I don't know.
All right. Well, you may think this is an odd joke, but it's because they can't even.
Wow. I bet that one would have slapped with the kids.
Man, I love it so much.
God.
Such a good dad joke.
I was gonna say that's a classic Mark.
Absolute perfect dad joke.
Father joke.
Okay, let's move on to my favorite part of the week, where we talk about the little things that have made us happy. Big things made us happy. We be appreciative for all the things that have happened in our life. And I asked the question, Raven, what has made you happy this week?
Well, previously I stated that it was our lovely little boy's birthday. We celebrated Boo's birthday last week. Yes. And that's kind of the reason that we did the whole little photo shoot was just to like, have a good time, to have little memories of all the boys and stuff like that. And just going out there and seeing them looking all cute for photos just made me so happy. And I So excited to get those photos back. I finally finished all my plant potting and stuff, and it's been a nice little time. I'm just out here vibing. That's what's making me happy right now. How about you, my mans?
Last weekend, we went during our trip to Orlando. I got to go scuba diving at Epcot, the theme park, in the big giant aquarium that they have there. Um, it was a 2-hour excursion, for the lack of better words, and we got to go behind the scenes of the aquarium and look at like where they prepare meals for the fish and the animals, and I got to go see some manatees and the dolphin tank, and then we got to put on our gear and go scuba diving in the very big aquarium that they have there, and it was fantastic. It was like swimming in the ocean, but without the kind of, I don't know. I love scuba diving in the ocean. It is awesome. But I guess because it was so contained that I didn't have to deal with like currents and all of this other stuff, but it was stocked full of fish and sea turtles and hammerhead shark and just all kinds of cool stuff. And
Nice.
once you go down, like once you get down in the water, they're like, cool, do whatever, because they can see you from one end of the tank to the other. And I say that makes it seem like it's smaller than what it actually is. It's a really huge aquarium. So, but as I'm swimming or like in the building that the aquarium's in, there's a ride. And when you come off of this ride, you get to look through these big giant windows at the aquarium, which I've done numerous times. And now I'm on the other side of the glass, and as I'm swimming, there's all these people that see me, and they're waving at me, and I'm waving back like, hey. And the kids are like, oh, my God, Mom, he waved at me. And then I go to the other side of the tank, and there's a restaurant over there where people are eating food, and I'm just swimming right by the glass, and they look up, and they wave, and I wave back, and they're all happy, and I'm happy, and it was awesome. I totally want to do it again.
That sounds so cool.
I got so inspired that I sent in an application to volunteer at a local aquarium to see if I can just get to go scuba diving in their tank, just to like clean it up or whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, I hope that pans out.
That would be so cool. Yeah. That's so fun. Imagine not being afraid of water.
Are you scared of water, Raven?
Yeah, kind of, honestly. But it's okay.
I will say this. I'm genuinely upset with myself that I didn't get scuba certified 20 years ago when I was stationed in the panhandle of Florida. Because I was like, oh, I should do this. And then I was more concerned with drinking and trying to chase women. That I just never did it. I have friends that were doing it, and I was like, oh, I should clearly do this. And then once the pandemic hit, right around the time the pandemic hit, I was studying to get my scuba certification, and I did my checkout dive in Florida at a spring in Florida, March of 2020. Like the next week, they shut everything down.
Whew, that was a close call.
Yeah. I mean, as we were going down there was a lot of places that weren't open. And, but like it was the week after when the government came down and said, shut it all down.
Oh, gosh.
So I scraped in just under the wire, and it's been great. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do.
That's so cool. So, I'm glad you found you a fun little thing.
Yep. Breaking news. As I'm scrolling through, as I do when I'm recording stuff, apparently Superman is going to be filming in Macon, Georgia.
Ooh.
And they need extras.
Hey.
They're going to be filming in late May and early June in Macon, Georgia.
Better be throwing Alice that way.
Yo.
It's what you got to do.
Well, I would go to the site, but I can't because they want me to disable my ad blocker. And I guess I will never, ever read that article.
Dang.
So,
R.I.P.
Anyway, I'll let you know if I'm ever going to be in the new Superman movie. We'll see.
Hey.
So, all right. Raven, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the social media?
You can find me on the Twitters at spooky_Raven or on Instagram at That's So Raven Ellis. You can also find this cute little podcast on whatever you want to look for. We don't know what you're on, but we're probably on it. It's called Nerd for No Reason.
Whoop, whoop.
That's us. That's our podcast. How about you, Mark?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at TurtlesDoIt. Drop by, say hey. Probably the next day or so, I'm going to post pictures of my cool beard, my cool mustache, and a clean-shaven face. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, who is he?
Who is this guy?
Whoa, he's transforming before our eyes. Optimus Prime? Is that you?
What? So,
anyways,
so now we start the new beard growth journey from here on out. So we'll see.
Got to get it to where you can braid it.
Man, Alice was like, "I want you to have a Gandalf beard." I'm like, "I do not have decades. I do not have decades to to grow a Gandalf beard."
Hey,
Oh.
we just got to get you on the right, path of taking supplements and stuff.
Just beard growth oils.
Yeah, that's all. Just drink it. All the beard oil. Just...
All right, everybody. I'm so glad you tuned in. This is one of my favorite things of the week to do. I love it. I'm glad that you guys are listening. It's such a great time. Go and like our socials. It helps us. Go follow us on YouTube. That helps. Okay? We're making moves on YouTube. It's just
or you can follow us anywhere that you listen.
You really can. You really can. I will not be upset if our numbers jump at all. I love all of you. Hit us up. Let us know what movies you want us to review. I don't know when we're going to start the Twilight series, but it's coming up, so you better hold on to your butts. Yeah, it's coming soon.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Saying that, you guys go and do something wonderful in the world today.
Go ingest the medias. We'll see you next time at the Nerd for No Reason podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Nerd for No Reason podcast. You can find us on all major social media platforms at Nerd for No Reason. Our podcast music is Memories in 8-Bit by Deanna Joan, a.k.a. Fergie's Human. You can follow her on Twitter at Deanna Joan Music and check out her other social media links in the show notes of our podcast.